Good morning, Wiser Nation. Good morning. What a pleasant day to be here. Happy International Women's Day. To all the women here, happy International Women's Day. To the women in our lives, we are so grateful that we are alive this season to celebrate ourselves and to have conversations that would advance us in life, in business, in family relations and relationships, and of course in leadership. So thank you for being here and welcome. Good to see you, Nancy Dehe. Odunayo, welcome. Moturayo, welcome. Ulutomi, happy International Women's Day. Thank you for being here. Please tell all the men you know in your lives to join us as well. MC Love Diamond, good to have you this morning. Happy International Women's Day. Yes, happy IWD to us all. Please share the link to your friends, the link to this YouTube live. Share to your friends, your sisters, and your men, because we need the men to be our champions as well on this journey. I'm delighted, I'm honored that our speaker is joining us at her 11 p.m. and she's ready to share out of the wealth of her knowledge. She was here with us at WISER 2023, and she took us deeper into the journey of, oh woman, know thyself. Oh woman, love thyself. Oh woman, be strong enough for all the responsibilities that you have. Oh woman, be wise enough to make the right choices and decisions for your journey. Oh woman, love yourself enough to be proud of yourself enough to pursue your desires without second guessing yourself all the time and giving up on yourself. And today she takes us to another level of the wiser woman. Please join me, welcome Aya Fubara-Eneli as she joins us this morning. Big sis, thank you so much.
Good morning and happy International Women's Day.
Woo!
Welcome, Wiser Nation. Welcome. Can you hear me okay?
We hear you loud and clear.
Wow. Well, all of you who are on here. I mean, I know that Joyce has done such a great job training you to wake up early and to go after what you want. But kudos to you, because when I was telling some of my friends at 6 a.m., they're like, what? What kind of people get up at 6 a.m. and are ready to receive? But excited to be here this morning. And so I'm going to do something that may seem a little unusual to some of you, but for some of you, this is probably par for the course. And what I'm going to do is get us started actually with a meditation. So if it's something that you've never done before, that's okay. It's not going to hurt you in any way. But if you have any kind of spiritual background, this should be hopefully something that you can fully embrace. So let us get into it. So at this time, what I'm going to ask is if you would just take a moment, whatever it is that you're doing, sometimes we're multitasking. If you can just put it down for 5 minutes, and we're just going to take a couple of cleansing breaths here and just get ourselves centered. Okay. So just follow my lead, follow my voice. And so we're going to take a deep breath in through the nose and breathe out through the mouth. And we're going to just repeat this 3 times. Okay. So breathe in through your nose and out. And breathe in again. And out. And in this place where you are making space to connect with your God, with your Creator, to quiet down the noises that are without and the noises that are within, I want you to just in this moment take just 30 seconds to express gratitude for anything that you would like to in your life. Maybe gratitude for the fact that your ears are functioning this morning and you can hear me. Or that you could breathe without an oxygen tank. Maybe it's that you're in a safe enough place and you have access to enough resources that you have a device and you have internet. You have electricity. Maybe it's gratitude for your health. Whatever state it might be in, you were still above ground. Maybe it's gratitude for those children who just got on your nerves a few minutes ago. Or that you don't even have enough time to make the food or the meal you wanted to make this morning, or pack the lunch, or maybe it's gratitude that you have so many clothes and some of them now don't fit, or you can choose from so many different options, but just being grateful. And on today, as we celebrate this International Women's Day, perhaps you take a few seconds to just celebrate who you are. As you are right now, not the dreams that you have, not the disappointments you've experienced, just in this moment, just celebrating yourself. The same way we often want other people to celebrate us, but we don't take the time to celebrate ourselves. And let's just take a few more seconds to say, thank you. Thank you, God. And finish the sentence. Thank you, arms that move. Thank you, hips that support me. Thank you, lungs that function. Thank you, big and small intestine, or large and small intestine. Thank you for a heart that beats. Thank you for dreams that I can still dream, for tenacity. Thank you. And if you can, because for some of us, this is something we've never done before, see yourself looking at yourself in your mind's eye with your eyes closed. See yourself and speak to yourself and say, I celebrate you on this International Women's Day. I love you. And you can put your name if you want to. I celebrate you today and I love you. Take another deep breath in and out. Let's open our eyes. You know, how often are we waiting for that other person to come and tell us how great we are, how amazing we are, and to say, I love you, and to say, I appreciate you. And we're constantly hungering for this outward validation. But sisters, how easy is it to give it to yourself? If you just get to a point where you esteem yourself enough. And let me tell you, I've shared this with people before. You know, a lot of times before I'll go to an event, I'll go to someone's party or whatever, I will first eat something in my house. I will go there not starving and not hungry, not like, where's the food? Where's the food? I come in already kind of in a good place. And if there's good food, they're awesome. And I might eat, but I'm not going to eat like someone who's never seen food before. And if there's no good food there, that's fine too. You're not going to hear me grumbling. I'm going to network. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to dance and I'll go back home. Why? Because I first fed myself. And so I don't have to go crazy outwards, outside. But you know what? So many of us are lacking self-love. We don't take the time to give ourselves the love we deserve. And so you go out there and you are starving. And if someone so much as puts a dirty piece of meat that fell on the ground and they picked it up, that's half eaten, you get so excited and you lose your mind. So I'm going to go through this presentation with you. We may cover all the slides, we may not, because whenever I present, I go by what the Spirit gives me for the particular audience that I'm in front of. So hopefully, and I will see your comments later. How did it feel just doing that very brief meditation with me? All right. So I have been given a task by my amazing sister, Joyce Daniels, an incredible leader, a leader for our times. I'm so excited to have her in my life and to be connected with her in this way. And so let me just quickly remind us of what the task is, and then by God's grace, I'm going to fulfill it. So she said, I want you to talk about what are the skills and tools that a woman needs to succeed in leadership, career, family, achieving her goals, and more. You can go to the next slide. I think you're advancing it for me, right? Is it moving? Yes, no? There we go. What should women prioritize? We're just going to go quickly so you can move to the next one. And what should a woman's mindset be? What should her focus be? And so everything that I share with you, we're going to be focusing on these things as much as we can, because let me tell you, each one of those questions is a class in and of itself. So WISER Nation, let's talk about it. What should we prioritize? Go to the next slide, please. And thank you so much. And then the next one. So today, my focus is really going to be on your self-love revolution as a means for creating the life you desire. This is a place where we want to get women, get you thriving, succeeding in all areas of your life. So what is success exactly? When we talk about the tools for success, what do we even mean when we say success? You're going backwards. Yes. So, many years ago, I was a young woman. We should be on the slide with the ladder right now. I was a young woman and younger woman. I was 28 years old. And I just had a pretty difficult pregnancy. I had my son, and our family was growing. And then we tried to have another child, and I ended up having a miscarriage. I went into this story in greater detail the last time I spoke with you guys, so I'm not going to tell the whole story. But basically, I got to a point where I was really having to reevaluate my life. Like, what is really important to me? What is it, as I experienced this loss, what is it that I really wanted for my life? And in that moment in my life, an image was presented to me. And it was that of a woman who had climbed a ladder. It was a really tall ladder. And ladders, they don't just stand upright. They're usually leaning against the wall, right? And she was working really hard. She had a baby on her back. She's carrying a bag. She's climbing with one hand and she's making it happen. Some of you understand what I'm saying. Like she's what do we call it? A hustler. She's grinding, all of these terms, which by the way, cause stress in my head now when I hear them. And she gets to the top of the ladder, sweating, but still trying to look good, right? She's worked so hard. And when she gets to the top of the ladder and she can see the view, she realizes that she had climbed, she had climbed the wrong ladder. Her ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. And she was now at this top, this apex of her career or whatever it was. And it's not where she wanted to be. Sisters, and for the brothers listening as well, it is so important that if you're going to live this life and you're going to quote unquote prioritize and be successful in all of that, that you first of all define for yourself what is success. And sometimes you're going to start with one definition, but you want to pay attention to where you're going, what's happening around you, because you may take a few steps and then look around and say, well, is this exactly where I want to be? Or ask someone who's further up, if it's someone you trust, what do you see from up there? Is that where I want to be? Because some of us have chosen definitions of success that really are going to not bring us much joy. I was at an event in Los Angeles towards the end of last year, and I was at a brunch and I was sitting next to a beautiful woman. I mean, designer outfit, hair in place, everything. Quite frankly, I was kind of looking like her house girl, okay? And as we started to talk, this woman is mid-30s, and she has built, almost 40, and she has built a $30 million business in the United States. Black woman, no joke, right? But as we started talking some more, she started talking about how stressed she is. And I said, wait a second. If you had to do it all again, would you do it again? And she said, no. But she said, and these were her words, but I feel trapped now because I have built this business. People would think I'm crazy if I walk away from it. And if I walk away from it, I'm used to this lifestyle now. What would my life look like? And so although she hated where she was, did not like how she had to like every day be struggling to keep up this appearance and not let this business fall so people don't say, what happened to her? She also was not enjoying her life. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is an example of putting your ladder up against a certain wall, defining success, maybe using someone else's definition. And so if we're going to talk about what should we prioritize today as we talk about International Women's Day, important thing is for you to decide what success is for yourself, not your mother and your mother's dreams. Oh, go and marry this man. He has money, so and so and so, or get into this job and you hate it, right? Not what your husband desires and your husband's definition of success, not what your siblings, not what your pastor, not just, so I can carry whatever. I won't call names, but one of our celebrities in Nigeria, look, if you're going to be with a guy, get one that can get you a Birkin bag and get you the, and what else? Is that success for you? Define it for yourself. I'm at a point in my life right now that success for me would be having farmland, being able to grow animals and food, being able to process food, teach other people to do the same, find a quiet place, write my books, once in a blue moon, come out on Zoom and talk to people and go back to my farm and be barefoot pretty much all day. I don't need anything else. But that's my definition of success. So define yours. Let's go to the next slide, please. Thank you. I hope this is resonating with you, and I hope you're taking notes, and I hope that I'm going to get questions and comments later. Those of you who are wherever you're watching it, and eventually on YouTube, I hope I'm going to be able to see your questions. So, success is the achievement of personal fulfillment and contentment, where individuals find happiness, peace, and satisfaction in their lives, relationships, and endeavors. Did you see that? I didn't talk about how much money you make. I didn't talk about your title. I didn't talk, because for each person, that definition needs to be different. That definition needs to be your own. And that may mean that someone will look at you and say, that's all you're doing. You have a law degree. Why are you not a judge? I don't want to be a judge. No. Define it for yourself, for your personal fulfillment. And for me, my personal fulfillment is tied to my service to my community. My personal fulfillment is tied to how I feel about myself. And this is why we're going to keep emphasizing self-love. And it's about my happiness and my peace, not where I have bought into someone else's definition and I'm so stressed out of my mind that I don't even have peace. Let's go to the next slide. Hopefully this is resonating with you. And if it's not, what is wrong with you? So keep this visual in your mind. There is no lasting success without self-love. This is why you see people who look like they have it all, but they're drinking themselves to death. Who look like they have it all, but all they do is gossip and tear other people down. Who look like they have it all, but the next thing you hear, they jumped off a bridge. Who look like they have it all, but they have to keep shopping and shopping and shopping, quote unquote, retail therapy, right? Because we have all these trappings of quote unquote outward success. But when our self-love tank is empty, we feel empty on the inside. Life doesn't feel worth living. And that is what you see emanating from us. That sadness that we may mask, or the ways that we might tear other people down, or the ways that we just keep driving ourselves for more and more, hoping that that's going to fill our tanks. But what we really need is love. Next slide, please. So, if you are in the business field, and even if you're not, here is something that you want to do for yourself. It's called a SWOT analysis, and SWOT simply stands for your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats, right? And so as we talk about prioritizing and understanding what skill sets we may need to be able to achieve success based on how we define success, what is incredibly important for you to do is to first define your strengths. And what is key for us in defining our strengths is the lens through which we see it. Let me give you an example. If I take these glasses off now, I cannot read what's on the screen. They're words, I can tell they're words, but they're kind of blurred. What self-love does for you as you work towards becoming the best version of yourself, as you work towards becoming that success that you desire to be, is that it's like clearing your eyes. It's like putting on your glasses so that you can see yourself in your entirety. When you are looking for your strengths and you're not looking at it through the eyes of love, this is what you see. Some of you are going to be able to relate to this. This is you waking up in the morning, looking in the mirror, and the first thing you go, Chai, look at my, hey, what is going on? And you're like criticizing yourself, right? That's all you're seeing is your quote unquote flaws based on society's view of yourself. But if you're looking at yourself through the eyes of love, you put on your love, like I'm putting on my glasses. And now I look in the mirror and I go, do you realize you're one of a kind? Do you realize that there's no one else in the world quite like you? What do we have? 9 billion people now on the face of the earth, and you are unique. Just like a lover would look at you. Like you woke up and you're feeling disheveled and all of that, and they say you're so beautiful, or you're telling someone you're so handsome. That is what self-love does for you. It really allows you to analyze your own strengths. And you say, you know what? I love how you speak. I love your passion. I love your work ethic. I love that you show up. I love that you're determined. I love that you never let anything hold you down. But if you're looking at you for your strengths without your love, your self-love glasses on, you're saying, how many times did you try that and you failed? You're looking at you're looking at yourself through a distorted lens. So really important. And we're going to talk about how do we get into this self-love? How do we get to a place where we can put on our self-love glasses as we look at ourselves? Next slide, please. So you want to identify your strengths. Very important, because your strengths are going to help you figure out where you build. Joyce Daniels understands that speaking is one of her strengths. So she has built an empire that is growing. It's worldwide now, right? Building on her strengths. But if she always felt like, I guess I can talk a little bit, But queen of talk, no, I can't be queen of talk. Maybe small princess of talk. Do you see how that works? It doesn't work great, right? The next thing you want to do is consider your weaknesses. Not from the point of, oh, let me tear myself down. No, it's from the point of, okay, these are areas where I can grow. Because I am a firm believer that if you're not growing, you're dying. So you continue to improve. You come to WISER events because you understand that there are areas that you can grow. And when you look at yourself through the eyes of self-love, when you consider your quote unquote, and I'm putting weaknesses in quotes, what it does is it allows you to stop working on those limiting beliefs, to stop working on the self-doubt, to stop working on that inner critic that usually has been embedded in us from our childhood. Someone else who did not love themselves or who dealt with a lot of hardships or trauma turns around and puts that on you. But when you look at yourself with self-love, you begin to understand, I don't have to keep hearing that voice. I don't have to keep seeing myself the way other people think they see me, because what other people may consider a weakness might be my superpower. Let's go to the next one. Oh, looking at your opportunities. Again, what self-love allows you to do is it allows you to really pay attention. Do you know that in this old age, I'm not old, Sha, but in this more mature age of 53, I was minding my business and someone sends me a message and she says, Aya, they are casting, they're looking for a woman to cast in this Netflix series. And she has to be a Nigerian woman or who can do a Nigerian accent and she has to be from ages 50 to 65. I think you should do it. I think you'll be amazing. And initially I was going, what? That is not on my vision board. Act? What? I have things to do. I'm a lawyer, I'm a writer, I'm a speaker, but it was an opportunity, right? And I actually embraced it and great things came out of it. And so what self-love allows you to do is to be open to the opportunities, not to limit yourself. And who knows what God has in store for you, because our lives usually never really work out exactly as we thought they would. Let's go to the T. And finally, the T would be what people might consider threats. But when you're looking through the eyes of self-love, you are able to, you're full of your own love, you're actually able to minimize quite a lot of times, completely eradicate those threats, like nullify them, like they don't have any power over your lives. Next slide, please. So a lot of what I'm sharing with you today is actually all included in a book that I'll tell you a little bit more about. It's called Your Self-Love Revolution. And I have a tool in that book called the Eneli Abundant Life Scale. And it's on page 147 of that book for those of us in the US. For those of you in Nigeria, it's going to be around that same page, but we printed it in Nigeria, so the page numbers are a little different. And what we've done with that life scale, with this Eneli Abundant Life Scale, is that we've given you 10 different categories and a very simple way of looking at where you are versus where you want to be and grading yourself. And then it really encourages you to now say, okay, let's say you're looking at the area of relationships and you've put it as a 3. Don't just identify that your relationships are not where you want them to be. Identify what it will take for your relationships to get to an 8, a 9, a 10. And we kind of work you through that. And what I've seen as I work with my clients is they go through this abundant life scale and then they're kind of shocked that either, oh my God, life is actually a lot better than I thought. I was just focusing on the wrong things, right? Not enough self-love, defining yourself, your level of success by somebody else's parameters. Or they realize, oh my God, I'm really in trouble here. I'm depressed, or I really don't love myself. There's a lot that I'm not liking. And then the question is, are you going to stay in that place, or what are you going to do about it? And as a coach, my job is to help them get from where they are to where they want to be. So it's a way to take a snapshot. So if you're talking about what do I need to prioritize, just going through this abundant life scale will show you for yourself, using your own measurements, where you stand and what areas you're really strong, what areas you can work on, and that might help you choose what books to read, what shows to watch, what leadership opportunities to take advantage of, what courses to take, things of that nature. So I encourage those of you who can get the book, go through this abundant life scale. Next slide, please. So, question is, how much do you love you? And so the second image on that slide is actually me. It was taken around my 50th birthday. And at that moment in time, the photographer was like, just look at yourself. And so you can kind of see both images. And it's like, what do you see in the mirror? Do you love you? How do you evaluate yourself? Next slide. How much do you love you? And that's a question for you to answer, not just to hear me say it. It's not a rhetorical question. Ask yourself that. So let's jump into some key elements for success. Some of these elements, one is knowing what you want. We've talked about that in detail at this point. How do you define success for yourself? Knowing what you want. The other thing is continuous learning and skill development. Again, like I mentioned, if you're not growing, you are dying. So the fact that you were top of your class, let's say in secondary school, but you go to university and you're depending on the same knowledge from secondary school and you're not continuing to study, you're about to be bottom of your class, right? That makes sense to us. Well, even after school, even when you're in a job, even when you're in a business, you have to be focused on how do I continue to learn, right? And that may mean courses you're taking, being around other people who are challenging you. The other thing is effective communication. You know, a lot of times as a mother in particular, I would say things to my kids and then I don't see the movement that I expected after that conversation. And I've gotten to the point where I say to myself, I must not have communicated effectively. Now, we do know that children kind of like they hear what they want to hear, but it's also the fact that if I sharpen up how I communicate, and that might be including a carrot, like do this and you get this, or it might be including a stick, which is like, if you don't do this, you're going to lose this. But the idea is, how do I communicate effectively? And looking at what that looks like at work. So when I'm in court, there's a different way I'm communicating when I'm talking to a jury or when I'm talking to the judge, right? When I'm talking with my clients one-on-one, there's a way I'm communicating to elicit trust, to get them to really believe in me. Same thing as when I'm coaching. And when I'm talking to my dog and I'm trying to get my dog to do something that I want my dog to do, that communication is going to be different from how I communicate with a judge in the courtroom. So, and same thing with a spouse or with a significant other or with your girlfriends or with your parents. How I communicate with my parents is different from how I'm going to communicate with my children. Still respect, but the tone, the body language, everything is going to be a little different. So if you want to be successful, you have to look at how effective is your communication. I tell you, when I moved back to the United States, one of the things I had to do was learn how they communicate here in the United States. Because if I just communicate exactly as we communicate back home, people are going to spend half their time going, what did she say? Because if I use our colloquialisms in Nigeria, here in the US, they won't understand. And a lot of times vice versa. The other thing you want to look at is your decision making and your problem solving skills. So I tell people, sometimes we look at quote unquote threats or problems and we just hold our hands in our head and it's like my life is over. But I tell people, actually look at it as a way of honing your skills. Because unless you start learning how to deal with difficulties and challenges and problem solving, you can't get better. And guess what? If you get really good at solving problems, you get paid more, period. People come to me as a coach because I'm really good at helping them figure out how to resolve issues in their lives and to see success. If I wasn't good at decision making and problem solving, that would impact my earning capabilities. So that is an area where you want to rise to the challenge. You want to swallow that fear. You want to move past your concerns of what if I fail? Because the only way to have success is actually to embrace opportunities to fail, because that's how you learn and you grow. And finally, discipline and resilience. I mean, so many people want to be overnight successes, and I haven't found one yet. And the people that you see who get overnight success usually have overnight, they disappear as well. Like as quickly as they showed up, they're gone. They fizzled out. People with lasting power are going to be the ones who have the discipline and the resilience. They adapt, they deal with whatever comes, and if they fall, they get back up again. Next slide, please. So I know that for many of us women, a big issue as we talk about how do we prioritize, how do we really embrace successes, how do I balance it all? Whether you are a mother or not, all of us are part of families. And for those of us who are also trying to build, careers, it's like, how do I make it happen? One of the all of this is covered in the book, but we really focus on how you manage your time. And even when I say manage time, I'm really of the opinion that it's not so much time management as it's managing yourself. Because none of us can make 24 hours become 26, and none of us really can stop time from doing what it's doing. It's really how you manage yourself and how you manage projects that determines what your time looks like. And so we get into some of that information. And a big part of that is having clarity about what you want. If I am clear, if I know how to set goals, I wake up in the morning and I know what it is I want to accomplish that day. Guess what? When it comes to managing my time, someone calls me on the phone, sends me a WhatsApp message or whatever, and they are trying to distract me. They can't, because I'm really clear on what it is I'm trying to do, right? I often tell people relationships are like ships. Make sure you get into the ship that's going where you want to go. And so people know now. I mean, I have friends, they'll text and like, Aya, we couldn't leave a message for you. Your voicemail is full. That's right. I'm busy working on the things that I need to work on. And so in terms of time management, it's really managing myself because I'm clear on my goals, because I wake up every morning and I've prioritized what it is I need to do. I'm not going to be pulled in so many different directions. Now, some of you may say, but Ma, you don't understand. I have this boss who requires this and requires that. Yes, there are always going to be some things that are out of our control. Fine, but control what you can control. So when my kids were younger, I made a menu for the entire week, so that every morning I wasn't stressed about, what are we eating? What are they doing this? Every night I wasn't stressing about that. Saturday, I made my menu. I did my grocery shopping. I cooked stew. I cooked my pots of soup, whatever. And I had a plan in place that made my life easier throughout the week, right? Setting boundaries. Again, this is a place where people in my life now understand, Aya will say yes, or she will say no, and take it or leave it, right? Sometimes that has meant people very close to me, including family members, get a little upset. But guess what? I can't be everything to everyone and do anything well. And some of you have to get used to setting boundaries. And when you first start, people are going to push back. They may talk about you. But would you rather be talked about and your life is miserable? Or would you rather be talked about and you're achieving the goals that you want? You are finding success because you're happy, you have peace, you're doing what you need to do. And then some of you want to carry the whole world on your shoulders. You want to do everything yourself. Learn to delegate responsibilities. I now have 5 children. Their ages 14 through 25. They all know how to cook. Let me tell you, some days like tonight, I'm like, you people enter the kitchen and cook. I delegate it. No problems at all. Next step. And these are all keys to balancing that family and career, making sure that you know what it is you want to do. You're setting boundaries, you're delegating, and you're giving yourself that space to breathe. Next slide, please. So, cultivating a positive mindset, the power of positive thinking. Again, we cover this extensively in this book. One, some of the things that we cover here: overcoming self-doubt and limiting beliefs. Let me tell you, it is so hard for people on the outside to tear you down or to destroy you if you are built up on the inside. I remember when so my mom was pregnant with our youngest. I was probably like 8. And these people, they came over our fence. They beat up the guard. We could hear it, but the main house, had all the burglary proof and all of that. And so they are knocking and, trying to break the padlock and all of that. It took them so long to get through the first barrier. By the time they were getting to the second barrier, the sun was starting to come out. Long story short, they weren't able to come in and access and do what they wanted to do, right? And I tell you that story because we were so fortified internally that when that external threat came, it did everything it could, but we were still protected. Overcoming your self-doubt and limiting beliefs. The biggest thing that is going to trip you up in becoming the success you want to become isn't what people say on the outside. It is what you're thinking on the inside. It is where your mindset is. It is you telling yourself no. It's you telling yourself you can't. It's you tearing yourself down. So one of the major things you can do for yourself if you want to be successful is to overcome self-doubt and limiting beliefs. And I'm going to give you one really powerful tool that you can use to accomplish this. The next thing is resilience in the face of challenges. There is no success story that I know of, and that's another reason why I love to read biographies, where you are not going to see where they had to get strong. I mean, if I showed you my muscles now, how would I have gotten those muscles? I would have had to go and lift weights and deal with resistance and walk and do all of these things, right? And so part of becoming successful is learning to be resilient. It's that resilience that is eventually going to give you that ability to climb whatever ladder you want, attain that success that you're seeking, right? So stop running away from challenges. Stop looking for the easy life. The easy life is not going to give you the success you want. Something that I'm going to cover as we continue are strategies for mindfulness. And we just did one when we did that brief meditation at the beginning. One of the things I've done is I've actually created a whole YouTube channel that is nothing but meditations. 30 meditations, one for each day. You can just go click play and do it. Or you can obviously do your meditations yourself. Next slide. The importance of self-care. So this is a huge one it's a whole chapter in the book. And this is a chapter that I want to break down with you guys for a little bit as we talk about prioritizing, because what I'm going to cover in this 7 to Thrive, if you just do these 7 things, if you take nothing else from what I said today and you just do these 7 things, you are going to see incredible growth. There is a lady on here who's watching right now, and I have to give her a shout out. So Dunayo, you guys are going to see her later on. I have been teaching the 7 to Thrive for, I think, almost 10 years now. And she did one of the 30-day programs with me. And I think by day 3 or 4, she says, Coach, I came up with an acronym for the 7 to Thrive. I said, okay, what is it? JASPER. And you'll see what I'm talking about. It's really easy for you to remember. And I want to thank you. She's an educator. She's on here. I met her through WISER, and she's adding value across the world now, because anytime I share this, I'm going to be sharing her name. So let's go to the next slide. So these are the 7 things to thrive. Okay. Again, I go into it in more detail in the book. So get the book, Your Self-Love Revolution. So one is gratitude journaling. And we did that meditation on just gratitude, right? dedicating just 10 minutes a day, not to Facebook, not to gossip, not to what is the Niger celebrities do it or whatever, but to just writing out what you're grateful for, reflecting on the things that you are thankful for. Next steps, next slide, please. So the J is for just journaling, right? The A is for stating your intentions and affirmations. So use the A for affirmations. And what is this? Spending just 5 minutes. Again, this is not, nobody's telling you have to carve out 20 hours of your day. Spending just 5 minutes each day, stating your intentions and your affirmations. So in my book, this book, Your Self-Love Revolution, there are over 300 affirmations. Every chapter has an affirmation in it. If I were to just open one page right now, here's an example of an affirmation. I control my thoughts, emotions, and actions. So when we say things like, oh, he made me mad, he made me do it. No. Stop giving away your power. I control my thoughts, my emotions, and actions. I embrace my unique strengths and I use them to create positive change. I love me. I set healthy boundaries. These are just examples of affirmations in this book. So the A is for taking a few minutes. Maybe it's as you brush your teeth. Maybe it's as you're putting on your makeup. Maybe it's as you're doing your hair, and just affirm yourself. Let's go to the next slide. The S is for sleep. Some of us don't sleep. We're so busy doing this and doing that, and then stressing out, fighting at nighttime, those kind of things, watching movies that are not adding any value to you. Sleep is actually really important. It is crucial for cognitive function. It's crucial for your mood regulation. You don't need a scientist to tell you this. When you don't get enough sleep, how well do you function? You're irritable. You're not as focused, right? You lose your temper more quickly. You don't pay attention to details. Sisters, sleep. It's essential. So remember, we're going through the 7 to thrive here. Next slide, please. Prayer and meditate, right? So the P is for pray. Taking just a few minutes again and just be thankful. So many of us just jump up and we go. So many of us sit down and say we're praying, but really what you're doing is gossiping to God, or you're in a prayer meeting and, oh, I want to pray for sister so-and-so. And then you tell sister so-and-so's business. But really, this is about your personal relationship with God. Taking time to pray, taking time to do those meditations. And of course, we already modeled a meditation for you. And for those of you saying, where can you find meditations? Go to YouTube at Aya Fubara-Eneli, and you will find those meditations. And of course, it's free. You can access them. Next slide, please. Hydrate. The H is for hydrate. And what does that mean? Drink water. Drink water. Can I just tell you this? If you go and use the restroom and your urine is not clear, you're dehydrated. It's as simple as that. They teach this to athletes all the time. Our body is something like 65 to 70% water. We don't get enough water. And when you're dehydrated, you actually don't function as well as you should. You have issues with your digestive system, even temperature regulation. So hydrate. Again, we're just talking about the 7 to thrive. Next slide will be E, which is exercise. It is good to move around for at least 20 minutes. Get going. If you follow your coach, Joyce, what do you see? You see her exercising. At least I have. It's a good thing for all of us. And there's so many benefits to it, right? It improves your mood, your physical fitness, how your clothes fit, how you feel about yourself. It reduces the risk of chronic disease. Some of you need to be moving a lot more. Make the time. And let's go to the last one for the 7 to thrive. Read inspirational material daily. Again, we do have the time, because the amount of social media many of us consume that is not adding anything of benefit to us besides just envying other people who are really not showing you the truth about their lives. Take that time to read something inspirational. And that's actually a photo of a girlfriend of mine who was traveling, and her husband took a picture of her reading my book. Okay, next slide, please. So I've already talked to you about what is in the book, how all of what we are sharing right now leads to your self-love revolution and is going to help you create this success that you are seeking. Next slide, please. Here are some of the things, and I'm just going to list them off, that when I wrote this book, this was the intention of the book, that when you go through this book, you will discover your true worth and not what anyone else has said to you. I don't care if you were sexually abused. I don't care if you were a foster child. I don't care if you were someone's servant at some point. I don't care if you had a spouse who used to beat you up. I don't care if you're poor, if you feel you don't have enough resources right now. You read this book, you are going to discover your true worth. You are going to cultivate self-compassion. Some of you are so incredibly hard on yourself. You say things to yourself you will never say to someone else. It is time for that to change. You are going to learn how to nourish your mind, your body, and your soul because you deserve it, and you don't have to wait for anyone else to do it for you. Next slide. You are going to learn how to release your limiting beliefs. You are going to learn how to embrace authenticity, to show up as yourself, not a caricature, not to try and keep up with the Joneses, but to really value your worth and to show up in that strength. You are going to learn how to foster loving relationships. Some of you don't have loving relationships because you don't love yourself and you don't feel really that you're worthy of love. Next slide. You are going to learn how to awaken your inner wisdom, to be able to hear from yourself, to hear from the God within you so that you stop making the same mistakes over and over again. You are going to embody self-expression. Some of you are so shy. You don't believe in yourselves. You put yourselves down. It is time to let your light shine, so to speak. You are also going to learn to cultivate inner peace because there's nothing like inner peace. And the final thing, that the goal for this book in terms of what you get out of this, is that you're going to learn to radiate love within yourself and into the world. Next slide, please. So if you're saying, okay, I'm ready, where do I get this? Because I want 2024 to be a different year for me. You know, as a matter of fact, my sister recently finally picked up my book. She's my older sister. You know how older sisters are with younger sisters. She finally picked up my book and she says, Aya, I'm going to do a video about this book. And I'm looking at her like, okay, let's see. She did. And she said something that just hit me at my core. She said, I started to read this and I realized this is exactly what I needed for my 2024 because I have not been practicing self-love. She's my older sister and she's incredibly successful in so many ways. Some of you may have heard of her, Kalane Stella Fubara. If you want this book, that's the information on where to get it. Seller.co, self-love, paperback, or if you go to seller.co and type in my name, you'll find it. Okay, let's go to the next slide. We also have a 30-day self-love program because it's one thing to tell you to do these things and it's one thing to try to go over all of this information in just 60 minutes, but it's another thing to actually take your hand and walk you through this. So I have a program that is absolutely free. Did I say free? Free to you, not free to me because it's a lot of my time and energy, but free to you because that's how much I want to invest in women. And I want you to hear a little bit from someone who was actually part of this program. If you'll go to the next slide, and hopefully it plays, because I really wanted you guys to hear from Odunaya. Go to the next slide, please. Is it not advancing? There we go. Now, if you click on that, we should be able to hear the video that is attached to that. I hope. And if it doesn't show, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it in the WISER group so you guys can hear from her because it was really powerful, the testimony that she shared. I really wish you all could see this. No problems. Okay, so what she shares in that is she participated in this 30-day program, and the level of self-love that she grew for herself and how it has impacted every part of her life, her relationships, her career, how she sees herself, how she's functioning with everybody else. When I heard her testimony, I asked her I was like, please, can I use this? I really wanted you all to see this. And so we'll find a way to make sure that we share it with some of you. And if you come to my Facebook page, I think actually I can post it there as well, and you can see that. So for those of you who say, I do want to take advantage of this program that is absolutely at no cost to you, besides that you need to show up every morning and be open with your mind, your heart, your soul to receive. There's the link on the screen that you can use to sign up at no cost to yourself. It's bit.ly/YSLR online April-NG. So again, I encourage as many of you as possible, please be a part of this, because it is my gift to you, and it's going to be your gift to yourself. Next slide, please. What do we do in this 30-day program? We go through every single chapter of this self-love revolution. We break down everything from how do you attack those limiting beliefs? How do you learn to feel better? Our chapter on sex and sensuality was crazy, because there were so many women on there who were like, I have sex, but I don't enjoy it. And we really had to get to the bottom of where those feelings came from and how to change it. So a lot of encouragement and empowerment. Next slide. And this would have been the point where if we had an opportunity for me to take your questions and answers, and take your questions and provide answers and hear your comments, we could do that. But for those of you who are going to see this on YouTube, I will go back and check. So go and type your questions, so on and so forth. And I will definitely respond as quickly as I can.
And sis, let's see if one or two people have questions. Please put in the chat. We'll just take like two questions. The first two we see, so that we can maximize this. I think it's so invigorating right now. It would be really good to take one or two questions right here. So let's just see if the questions come up, and we can take them, if you don't mind.
I am here to serve. Absolutely.
Thank you.
I can't tell. I mean, I know that this is going to go to a worldwide audience, but I do want to say this, that Joyce, I am so grateful to you, because we've all heard this phrase that charity begins at home. And although I live outside of outside of Nigeria, my heart is with my home. My heart is in Nigeria. And so I'm so grateful that you have given me this opportunity, not just to serve women who are here where I live, but to now be able to serve women in my country and beyond. There's a lot of work that I'm doing in Opobo, which is where I'm from. But what you're doing right now, this opportunity just feeds my soul. So yes, any questions they have, however long they want me to stay, I will. Thank you.
Mercy Frank says, before Mercy, Kenny James, we'll put the link in the chat. After the session, we'll make sure it's in the description on the video. We'll also drop it in the WISER group so that everyone can have access to it. If you're not in the group, I will drop the phone number where you just say, hi, please add me to the group, and you will be put in the group. Mercy Frank says, you've used self-confidence and self-worth interchangeably. Are they the same?
I would not necessarily say that they're the same, but let me try to make a distinction. I think that it's really difficult to have true confidence if you don't value yourself. You can have fake confidence, and you hear where people say, fake it till you make it. And so they're out there, and it's a lot of bravado and grab, sometimes unnecessarily loud, in my opinion, anyway. And that might come across as confidence. But for me, confidence is a knowing. It is a deep understanding of what you bring to the table and how valuable it is. And I really, from my standpoint, I think it's hard to come across and to really feel that level of confidence if you are not grounded in your self-worth. You really have to believe in who you are and your capabilities to then project real self-confidence, not the fake one that we just do out there. So that would be the distinction that I would make. I would start with self-worth and know that it would lead to quote unquote outward confidence. The confidence is the part that shows up on the outside. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay, that's the only question we have. All the rest are about putting the link into the group, which we will, so people can join up on the program.
Okay. All right, so let's go to the last slide then.
Yes.
I want to end by saying this. From my time growing up in Nigeria, this concept of self-love is not something that was really ever highlighted. We're supposed to achieve, as women in particular, we're supposed to learn how to serve. Our value is supposed to come from what other people say about us. And if we really pay attention, many of us saw older women in our lives who were not very happy with their lives. It's like, I will manage it now. You go manage them. Those kind of things. And that gets embedded in us. And then we embed it in the next generation. And what I believe about going on this self-love revolution, and I call it a revolution because it completely changes everything about you, is that when you get to a point where you really understand your intrinsic worth, that you were born worthy to begin with. And when you embrace that and you can fully love yourself, it changes what you teach other people. It changes, and listen, we teach people how to treat us. It changes how you show up. It changes what people know that you are going to accept. And it changes how you raise your children. And it really increases joy. And so in a country where you look at our economy right now, there's so much suffering already. I'm telling you, one of the things we can do for ourselves is to really cultivate this self-love, which is going to revolutionize every aspect of our lives. It is going to allow us to embrace, we're going to be able to see opportunities in a different way. We're going to be able to collaborate with people in a different way and not always be at loggerheads. We're going to be able to create different experiences for ourselves. And I really believe we're going to be able to change the fortunes of Nigeria, of Africa, as we change our own personal fortunes. So on this International Women's Day, on this day when they're asking us to celebrate ourselves as women in a global sense, please take the time to celebrate yourself on a personal level. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Coach Aya. We love you. We are grateful. You know, for me, I almost had tears when I was doing the meditation first off. And you said, thank you for my ears that hear. And I was like, oh, I don't know that I've been grateful for my ears that hear and my intestines. And it took me to another level, a granular level of gratitude. And imagine when I go through the entire 30 days, how much more renewed I would be, how much more empowered I will be. Thank you for extending this gift to us. Many of us, if not all of us right here, will be with you in April to see the woman that we should be, the 2024 woman, the woman that has been hidden under all these other things, to see her emerge. Thank you so much. We love you. There are thanks in the chat. Thank you all.
Thank
Have
you.
a wonderful day. Happy International Women's Day. Be the light to others, but
Yes.
know your boundaries. Don't be all things to everyone.
Right. That is right. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Bye, everyone. See you on the group. Bye for now.